Hi, I'm gonna do a sort of reaction analysis for some RWBY soundtrack songs. I don't know about how many I'm gonna get out in this sort of timeline, and this is kind of a weird sort of break in between the Genlock videos that I've been releasing, but the Genlock videos, something weird with the audio for some of them. I'm going to try and figure out how to fix that because it's extremely sort of quiet, my voice. I'll try and sort that out. So in the meantime, RWBY stuff, which I am very excited for. Didn't get to go to RTX London or RTX or anything, but I heard some things, saw some things. I'm very excited, and the soundtrack releasing is that's the way I can sort of interact with this, because everything else is going to be me being oh, that's cool, and then this is something I can try and project some thoughts and analysis to, which I try to do, even though a lot of the time I just fangirl. But yeah, I'm just gonna try and do a reaction and then analysis of the lyrics and stuff as I go. I'm just to try and, I think instinctual reactions will help cut down the video time. I don't want everything to be 40 minutes long. That's painful for me, painful for you guys listening probably. And if I have any additional thoughts, I might just comment them or add them into the information thing of the video. I think that's probably the best way. But yeah, I'm going to start with Rising. Yes, that's where it used to be called Rising Like the Moon. This is a bit quiet, I'll turn it up a bit. Okay. So this I actually have heard all the way through once. I'll admit I did cheat, so this isn't a reaction. This is continuing the... It continues the theme of sorry, just sort of, I've got the lyrics up here. You know, trying to work together to defeat evil, but I like all of the natural sort of nature-themed lyrics, because they do travel through the wilderness. It's a really lovely atmospheric touch that kind of helps to distinguish it from those of other volumes, because I love every intro, but they are kind of samey, a lot of them. This one feels quite very distinct to this volume. They've had other things where they've walked through the wilderness and stuff, but this is where it really drives it home. I really like how this sort of... because this is the same singer, isn't it? Yeah, Casey Lee Williams. It's very powerful, very sort of strong, sort of... I don't know how to... because it is kind of a little bit shouty music, but hers is very sort of... her voice is... it's got some oomph, you know. That's not to say singing before was bad, I think it's fantastic, but it's very interesting, especially when everyone's united in this sort of volume. And I love the guitar, it's very hype. Oh god, what is my phone laptop loud in there? I love this. More stuff about the night and light and the moon. It's very sort of reminds me of sort of Maria and Ruby and stuff. You know, paragons and death and virtue and like stuff compared to the moon and light and the dark. That could be a kind of indirect way of alluding to silver-eyed warriors. You know, like words like splendor and shining are quite evocative of Ruby's silver eyes and stuff. Are you gonna let me pause this? Okay, cool. I want to be able to concentrate individually on each song if my laptop will let me. Yeah, that lovely dramatic bit after that, the sort of instrumental bit, and then you have the bit where there's like the climax of the song and stuff before it does the last chorus. That's very sort of silver-eyed Ruby and Maria adjacent stuff to me. But let's look at... It's interesting because there's like a sort of beginning bit, verse, chorus, verse, climax, chorus. So let's look at the verses quickly. Because I said about the beginning bits were optimistic, and the second bit, trust the way we're made is interesting. You know, sort of trusting in your abilities and stuff, but Ruby learning about silver eyes I think is very sort of, you know, that seems very sort of thematically quite close, because at the end of the day it was more of a sort of something innate to Ruby, you know, where she thought about all the like love and all that sort of sappy protagonist stuff and all the things she had to protect and life and stuff, and that's what really sort of helped her activate her silver eyes and stuff with the Leviathan. So, you know, trust the way we're made. Nice. It's really interesting. Very natural things, like, which do, I said is indicative of the volume, specifically this one, compared to like volume 4 and that when they travel around, because there's like the river and the sea, which is very Leviathan-y, and you know, the Adam thing, there was a waterfall and he fell into the river and stuff and he died. Obviously this video contains spoilers. Sparrows born to fly, mountains tower. It's a mountainous region. I don't know about the birds necessarily. There were probably birds there, you know. There's a lot of sort of bird sort of stuff in RWBY. RWBY as a character reminds me of a sparrow, but I think that's just I don't know if that's intended, but yeah, all very, we can do this together, which is lovely and very indicative of RWBY. It's very optimistic, very hype. Reminds me of the volume 6 sort of, you know, because volume 5 was very like, things suck and we can sort of do it. Volume 6 is very much we can do it, we can persist and stuff, and that's nice. It's interesting, the chorus. The lightning doesn't take advice from anyone, the willow doesn't need to learn to stand, the sun seeks day, we'll find our way, and we'll catch the dream together someday soon, we're rising like the moon. Very interesting. Lightning seems very, like, you know, bright, but also quite violent and powerful. That can relate to multiple things. Willow doesn't need to learn how to stand, which is interesting because willow trees actually bend and are quite flexible. That's Sun Seeks Day. Sorry, but like sun and day are always going to remind me of Yang and Blake, you know. I don't know if that's necessarily a bees thing, but it does remind me of that. They do sort of find each other, various main characters in this show, in this volume. They do sort of open up more and find each other sort of emotionally as well as physically, which they have done, so that could, you know, roundabout. And I love that it's rising like the moon. The moon is like becomes such a like an icon or something of this show, and I don't even know if it was intentional or what. But it's like, even on this RWBY wiki, which I'm actually reading like the lyrics off of, which you can probably see at the bottom of your screen, because I wanted you guys to be able to just about see some lyrics at least. Trying to do better than last time. You can see in the background it's RWBY and the moon. I just love that. You know, generally it's like the sun, which is associated with growth and life and progress and all that good stuff, and here it's like, no, this is RWBY, this is the moon. That's great. It's just, yeah, it fits in with the theme much more, the moon, which is great. You don't think of the moon rising at all, but I really enjoy that. It works for RWBY in the way that the sun imagery just, it's not quite the same. Ooh. I'll probably finish on verse here, because this has some interesting lyrics. There's some more stuff about persisting on, you know, stand firm and outlast, etc., etc. One goal, one pack, looking forward, never back. That's quite evocative of keep moving forward, which is very much one of the big sort of takeaways from RWBY. Love's the choice we made. That's such an interesting sort of... RWBY is about love. It's not really a romantic sort of show. It doesn't focus on romance. There is romance in it. It definitely doesn't focus on it though. And that's generally what we associate love with. But I don't know, I've come to learn to associate love with a lot of different things. And I don't know if that's necessarily something everyone like comes to learn, or if that's a sort of unique position kind of thing. But generally when I think love, it's like, it's more like a sort of a force and a sort of romantic feeling, because I love lots of different things, and lots of it's like, I love life, I love going outside in the sunshine and hearing birdsong, and I love stories like books and films and things which have kind of made up parts of my identity, and I love people, you know, in all different ways, like familial, friendship and stuff, and obviously romantic love is a big part of love, but you know, it's a social thing, and it's an identity thing, and it's like a base level human experience thing. Like, I love being alive, and there's all kinds of indicators of that. Whether it's just, you do things because you enjoy doing them. Like, there's art, and there's food, and there's just, you just go and do experiences because you enjoy them. And you want to learn new things and all sorts of stuff. It's very much I think love is something very much woven into the sort of human experience. I don't just think it's necessarily Valentine's Day, knight in shining armour, love heart, romantic sort of thing. So this speaks to me. Love's the choice we made. Because that is, well, I love RWBY, and this is one of the reasons why. Like, it's had its ups and downs, and like, I look at past volumes and I definitely see a fair amount of flaws. But one thing I always appreciate is just the sort of these characters and the people that made it. There is love in it, and that's kind of, I think that's why I'm so pro Silver Eyes, to be honest, now, despite it sort of being like a Deus Ex Machina sort of adjacent thing, where Grimm can be destroyed very sort of quickly and easily with this power that the main protagonist has, because she's special. If Grimm are sort of demonic monster things that just sort of indiscriminately destroy things and are aggressive and hateful and just recklessly swarm things a lot of the time, then it kind of makes sense for like love, as I described it, to sort of be this thing that works against that. Because, if you care about something, like actually care about it, then like you don't want it to be destroyed, which is what the Grimm do. So it's, yeah, I think RWBY is very full of love in the way I described it. So this is very meaningful to me, because I think love is the most important thing, and that's what's being presented to us. And not only in terms of this Silver Eyes and saving the world, because life is amazing and worth living and other people deserve to have it, the girls also love each other so much. Like, they're friends. They're very good friends. Like, they would die for each other, that kind of bond. There's incredibly strong bonds, and it doesn't always happen. Well, it doesn't usually happen in real life, I would say, but yeah. I lingered on that a bit much, but that was quite meaningful to me, and it's one of my favourite lyrics. And didn't get to hear that when it was on the show, because it would cut before that. But, yeah, I love the idea of choosing love. That's how I try to live my life. And then there's like, look into the sky, light will guide us. Yeah, that's more sort of moving upwards, the moon, progress and stuff. But then there's another interesting thing. The rose will grow to be a seed, from every life another leads, born the way we're meant to be. Oh! This song feels very RWBY to me. RWBY with a U. Ruby Rose. I don't know if she's necessarily singing it, but it's much more about her in my eyes than it is about the others, which is interesting because, up until recently, RWBY hasn't got a huge amount of focus in the show, and not very many songs which I feel are 100% hers, but this feels very RWBY in spirit to me. This is kind of the thing I think of when I think of RWBY now. And then this kind of confirms it in my brain. The rose will grow to be a seed. I mean, Ruby Rose. Rose, that's quite... yeah, that's quite straightforward. But it's interesting, grow to be a seed, because that's the reverse. It reminds me of sacrifice, when it's like, when they say reap the seed, and it's, you know, referring to like us being, raising child soldiers and stuff, so they're the seed, they're the future. But the rose will grow to be a seed. That's interesting, because Ruby hasn't become more of a child, but I don't know. She's kind of gone back to her sort of base sort of ideals in order to focus on them and grow, which could be, well, that indicates, but also like the seed, she is sort of the product of Silver-Eyed Warriors and Maria. So maybe Maria's like a plant and Ruby's a seed. She knows she's like the future of this, but she had to grow into that position. So that's what that probably indicates in my brain. And there's from every life, another lead's born the way we're meant to be. I love that so much. That's another love and life sort of connection thing, and how people impact each other is very important, even if we don't feel like it, you know. Destiny or ripples or butterfly effect or whatever. But born the way we're meant to be. It's very Silver Eyes, I get, but I also feel like this is an identity thing in general, because the specific wording of born the way we're meant to be. Especially when characters have just sort of... identity is very important to all of these characters. I mean, Ruby Rose has this sort of silver-eyed thing going on, and her mum's dead and everything. But obviously, Weiss, identity is very important to her. There's a Schnee sort of abusive, patriarchal, capitalistic nightmare that she's had haunting her life, that she's had to sort of hide herself into, and has only sort of started to break free of that. There's Blake with the White Fang, and Adam, you know, having her identity warped and twisted until, like, she's kind of scared of being not anyone, but anyone in relation to other people. So identity is very important to her. And then there's obviously Yang, who didn't think very seriously about things at first, but then that got twisted on its head, and that's the only thing, you know, that she really thinks about now. Seriously, in protecting people, and also her parentage, her family, that's a big part of her identity as well. Identity is very important to these characters. They all had to sort of struggle with, you know, things wrong with them. So that's a really lovely line. I could take it another way as well, and this is like, don't shoot me for this, B's question mark is very sort of on my brain. I'll be 100% honest, this is my channel, but that would be a nice, very subtle way of sort of, I think Bumblebee has kind of been, long story short, I think Bumblebee has been kind of set up over time, and this volume makes a very strong case for it. And, well, you know, things like, maybe not in Remnant, but in our world there is homophobia and such. So if these characters were LGBT in some way, born the way we're meant to be is a very lovely statement. where it's just 100% stated, like, yeah, there's never been anything wrong with these characters in that regard. Obviously, that's not a canon thing, so I'll admit that thing is a sort of projection on my part, but if any of the main 4 are confirmed to be LGBT, that would be a really sort of nice, subtle kind of way of introducing that idea. So, yeah, I really enjoyed that. I just love the kind of acceptance and like positive, optimistic attitude of this song, and it's very hype as well. Like it's got that sort of rock thing still. It doesn't get rid of it, but it's less angry and more encouraging. And I really appreciate it. This is a really good song. Like, even Rising is a very, like, yeah. It's a very optimistic word choice just for the title alone. So, yeah. I very much enjoyed the song. I hope you enjoyed the video that went on for a little bit. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.